Hey guys, welcome back again to Persona 4 Arena Ultimax. When we last left off, we will finally play the last member of Persona 4, which was Naoto Shirogane. We actually kind of discovered that she was actually investigating a little bit of, obviously I guess, Persona 3 cast, in this particular case, Mitsuru, of being obviously one of the past known stories that we know through Persona 3 about the Kirijo group. And now that obviously the one responsible and one in charge is none other than Mitsuru Kirijo. Now that we passed that, we kind of understand a little bit more what is going to happen with the Persona 4 cast, and it seems they are not finished on investigating. But today we're gonna go through Mitsuru Kirijo's side. Let's see what she has, what opinion she has, and what she's up to. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So yeah, let's get right into it. I'm excited to play Mitsuru right now, like, to be honest. And goddamn what they did to her in this game. Late November, in the year 2010, the darkness fell without warning. At the same time, the previously busy examination room felt so silent that the man's ears hurt.
What happened?
He called towards the back to the room, but no answer came. After working for public safety for over a decade, he thought little could face him anymore. But this was uncomfortably alien. It was no ordinary blackout. If it were, the faint light from machines running on battery power, such as cell phones, would remain. But the silence disturbed him even more. He hadn't heard so much as a single cry. As he looked around, he saw a spot in the darkness. Something was giving off an eerie glow, as if painted in incandescent pigments. Oh. We're having this again, are we? Once his eyes began to adjust to the darkness, he was able to faintly make out the area around that light. The shining spot was revealed as a small, strangely decorated box. One that the man had only just delivered to the forensics unit.
Forensics team! What the hell is...
Oh, so this is the guy that we met. So maybe that's what he... Oh, wait. So this is how he knows about the whole things with the shadows. But what connection he has with Mitsuru then? He called out, still squinting at the shadow of a person he could see at the window before him. But as the shape resolved, he saw it was not a person's shadow at all.
Huh?
He had no words to describe it. At first glance, it seemed to be a coffin. Indeed, that is what it was shaped like. But he had never seen a coffin standing up upright, tall as an adult, shining like a dark crystal. Yet that was clearly what the crystalline mass was, squatting in the spot where a window clerk normally stood. And upon closer examination, it wasn't the only one. At desks, in front of the evidence shelf, next to a reference computer, the objects towered everywhere as if they had taken the place of humans.
What are these?
It should run down the man's spine. Her people was the thought that instinctively came to mind. Was this the reason he couldn't hear anyone else's voice? Was it because everyone but him was...
What's going on?
Once the fear had set in, it wasn't easy to shake off. His familiar office was starting to look like a grotesque netherworld. He felt quite sure that he had to get out. Quickly, he turned and grabbed the knob to the door through which he had just entered. But
What the...
it didn't budge. It wasn't that the door was locked, preventing the knob from turning the hatch. The knob was completely frozen in place.
Is anyone here? Hey! Let me out!
The man slammed his fist against the door, yelling in desperation. But the sensation he felt when his fist impacted the surface wasn't that of hitting a door. It felt completely at odds with what he saw, as if a picture of a door had been drawn onto a solid wall. It was then that the man noticed that another light, similar in color to the emanating from the box, could be seen on part of his hand as he swung it forward. It was a ring. And suddenly he remembered. When he brought in the small box, he found several bizarre ring-shaped objects within it. While handing it over to forensics, he suspected that they might be rings. To check the theory, he put one on. And now that ring was emanating the same eerie light as the box. Though he still had no idea what was going on, it was immediately apparent that it was directly related to the current situation. The man grabbed the ring with sweat-slicked fingers and tugged, ready to pull off his own finger if necessary. But just at that
I
moment,
wouldn't take that off right now.
What?
the man can't help but grasp. Okay, so she used already her power, but what was her mission here? Because there was a shadow here? Or was it because of the rings? The man can't help but gasp. He looked around, but could sense no one inside the room with him. Where had that voice come
I'll
from?
be there to rescue you shortly. Calm yourself and wait there.
When the man calmed himself, he realized that it wasn't just a voice. The sensation was indescribable, but it was distinctly unlike hearing it with one's
Who's
ears.
there?
Oh, pardon me. This is Mitsuru Kirijo. We met earlier.
Kirijo. He didn't know a Kirijo. It was she who brought the strange small box. And that wasn't all he knew. The Kirijos were a wicked family who used their fortune and influence as a shield, a constant frustration to the police. Despite that, the man couldn't help but feel relief wash over him. Perhaps he might survive this after all.
Well, I appreciate the help. Just hurry.
After getting the muttered words out, he sank to the floor, the door at his back. Mr. Kirijo, if he recalled correctly, she was the eldest daughter of the Kirijo group's founding family. Is it? I've been reading, but I'm not sure if it was like literally her doing all this. I'm pretty sure it was. He noted that her voice had been far calmer than his. God damn it! That's what happens when I have a shower before I record. I get so sleepy. He noted that her voice had been far calmer than his, despite the situation they were both in. He sensed a measure of trustworthiness from her. And to think it had been merely an hour ago that he was asking himself why such a young girl had been chosen as the head of the Kirijo group at all. The digital clock on the corner of the desk quietly announced the arrival of 10 a.m. in the morning. Normally most of the staff would be out and about by now, but the entire police department was in turmoil today. It was only to be expected, with a key figure from the Kirijo group visiting on an unusual business.
Kirijo, huh?
The Kirijo group was a major trading firm synonymous with Japan. They had links to all areas of business. Not a day could go by in the city without hearing their name. The clock that had struck 10 bore the logo of the Kirijo Electronics, and KG was the courier for the cell phone provided to every member of the force. A few days ago, this same Kirijo group had made a seemingly insane proposal. The document was hundreds of pages, but a brief summary would read: "We wish to collaborate with the police on an unofficial department for eliminating monsters."
Well, it does happen from time to time. Famous businessmen end up advocating cultish nonsense in pursuit of their ambitions.
Upon consideration, it was decided that the Kirijo group should be invited in to give their pinch. Of course, there was no intention of spending tax money on the outlandish proposal. The police interest is in humoring the Kirijo group lay elsewhere. The Kirijo group had offered an incentive whereby, if the police agreed to the meeting, they would provide a detailed list of the ergonomics research lab's artifacts, as well as actual samples. It was this that drove the officials' decision, for there had been dark rumors bandied about the Kirijo group over the last 10 years. Okay. God damn it! Oh boy. Damn it, why am I sleepy? Sorry. Alright. I need to wake myself up. Why am I really don't know why I feel so tired. maybe reading myself really just, I just go to sleep. While still a family-run business, some said that old man Koetsu Kirijo had delved into paranormal research and was performing inhumane experiments. The police collected enough evidence to test the rumor and had prepared many times to force an investigation. But every time the investigation came to nothing due to the group exerting hidden pressure, frustrating those working on the case to no end. The investigation's prime target was the infamous Ergo Research, the Kirijo Economics Research Lab. Exposing the Kirijo's group dark side had been a dream of public safeties for 10 years now, and now Kirijo seemed willing to hand over Ergo Research's tightly guarded secrets on a silver platter. No one knew the reason for this sudden about face, but neither did anyone think of turning them down. They agreed to the summit not to hear out whatever proposal Kirijo was offering, but as a stepping stone toward unearthing their past crimes. Time passed and the agreement upon time in the afternoon came. The man was tasked with watching over and bringing in the artifacts from the Kirijo group. Though he would not speak with the guests, the police plan offered him a major responsibility, one that gave him something like a leading role. Lord, you look at that! Her limo! It wasn't long before the Kirijo car arrived in the underground porte cochere. Mitsuru, I like you. But sometimes you have to tell me about your own French phrase words. The staff there to receive the guests only shrugged at the long black limousine that would have turned heads on the main roads. One of the youngest recruits looked towards the man and asked a question.
What's with that car?
But that was the least of the surprises in store. When the Kirijo group representative stepped out of the limousine, she was revealed to be a beautiful young woman, no older than a university student. Not only that, but she had attendants dressed in what could only be described as maid uniforms. All of them were young women roughly her age. The scene mesmerized the various dignitaries present to greet her.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I am Mitsuru Kirijo, representing the Kirijo group. It's nice to meet you.
Her brisk greeting radiated pose. From there, she shook hands with the assembled dignitaries in a manner that showed she was no stranger to social gatherings.
She's the company rep? Really?
The young recruit, who was sneaking looks out of the corner of his eye, muttered in spite of himself.
The proposal said the rep who's coming today would be the leader of this new unit, but I thought it was supposed to be some hardcore armed response team, and she's leading it? Well, I guess it's better than some meathead.
Shut up and hold your position.
But in truth, the man felt the same way. Certainly this monster experiment unit would never be incorporated, but even if it were, he was sure this wisp of a girl could never do such work. Eventually, the dignitaries entered the agency along with Miss Kirijo. All of them wore lopsided smiles due to the young beauty's unexpected appearance, but that would do for now. The dignitaries were only there to receive her. The true objective was loaded in the truck parked behind the limousine. The documents and artifacts of Ergo's research.
All right, start bringing them in.
Roger, sir.
At the man's signal, his trained subordinates surrounded the Kirijo truck. They form a line, smoothly passing boxes from man to man into the building. The articles were of various size, even a few that came in oversized metallic containers for aerial transport. The Kirijo group had warned them not to handle these things carelessly until explanations were forthcoming. But in truth, the department was already prepared to begin a forensic investigation of the objects, and even send them to the lab.
You sure it's okay for us to open these? The instructions said not to.
It won't be a real investigation if we let them hamstring our procedures. Besides, I can't think of anything they could send us that we couldn't handle. Unless there's real monsters inside these things.
The articles were brought in silence. The operation only lasted about 15 minutes. The man himself received the last item, about the size of a jewelry box, and checked the truck to make sure nothing went overlooked before closing it up. That done, he turned and walked quickly towards the forensics room. Try thought he might to maintain his composure. He couldn't contain the excitement he felt. For 10 years, the darkness of the Kirijo group had been a frustrating legend, like mist between the department's fingers. Their chance to investigate and expose them was here at last. If even the slightest evidence matched the DNA of those who had gone missing, or the victims of the unsolved cases, victory would be theirs. The man tried to tap down his acceleration and took another look at the small box he held. There was no upper lid on the box. A pedestal-like protrusion at its center held a number of small circular trinkets. Their usage was completely unknown. What kind of research produced these? Just as the man was about to hand the box to the window clerk, he saw a wedding ring on the clerk's finger and came to realization.
Are these rings?
We're not sure yet.
The man put on some protective latex gloves and tried one of the objects on. After looking at it from every angle, its color and shape seemed to be nothing but ordinary. If it was meant to be jewelry, it wasn't very attractive. The man couldn't picture scientists in lab coats slaving away in a lab to create rings like this. The moment that unlikely possibility came to mind, the man felt somewhat embarrassed by his ignorance in fashion and accessories. But as soon as he reached for the small box to put the ring back inside, darkness suddenly fell.
Please step away from the door.
The voice echoing in the man's mind brought him back to reality. He took a few steps away from the door and as directed and stood ready. Step away from the door. The more he thought about it, the stranger the order seemed. How did she know she was so close to the door when she wasn't even in the room? Suddenly a chill filled the area. In mere seconds, the entire door was coated in white.
Where'd this ice come from?
It had frosted over. The man couldn't believe his eyes, but the evidence was there in front of him. He could then hear a slight knocking sound, followed by a crack forming in the center. The door buckled under its own weight and crumbled with a sound that was like building blocks being pushed over. Standing just past it was the Kirijo woman. She walked over to the man with exquisite nonchalance. At her side was one of the maids she brought.
Are you all right?
Yeah.
We did give you fair warning, but it seems to have gone unheeded.
The man looked towards the ring shining in his
And
finger.
this happened because we touched that box? What is this thing?
That ring gives its bearer an unstable form of pseudo-potential and allows anyone to experience the Dark Hour.
The Dark Hour?
The box itself seems to be a failed recreation of the Dark Hour. The effect radius is small, and it malfunctions when improperly handled.
The Dark Hour. He remembered that phrase coming up in documents in the Kirijo group had sent. If I recalled correctly, it was defined as a hidden time, unable to be experienced by normal people. A time where everything stood still. According to the documents, it seems to have occurred every night at midnight for about 10 years, until spring 2010, as if it was forcing its way into normal time. Before now, it seemed like pure fantasy. But could this silent darkness be the very same thing?
So you're saying those stories in that document, that occult-sounding stuff was actually for real?
At that moment, a voice suddenly echoed from beyond the hallway past the broken door.
Who's there?
The man reflexively called out in alarm, realizing that the fear had not yet died down. What emerged from the darkness was the young recruit who had greeted the guests earlier, and had been helping with bringing in the artifacts. He was staggering as if severely drunk.
Chief! Hey, are you alright?
The man stirred to rush to his side, but the creature woman silently stopped him. She stood between the two, and as if protecting the man.
He's my...
Before he could finish, a surprising change overtook the recruit. The recruit fell into the ground with an agonized scream. A black tar-like substance began flowing from his very orifice. The ooze spread unnaturally across the ground and cohered into a glob. It rose up like a beast raising its head, and what looked like claws began to form. Its appearance showed clear signs that it possessed some malevolent will. The man thought again about the creature group's initial proposal. We wish to collaborate with the police on an unofficial department for eliminating monsters. Without a doubt, this was what they were referring to. And the name that came up again and again was...
This is a shadow.
That it is. It's a monster that dwells in every person's heart. They usually can't manifest themselves this way, but it's quite common to see it happen during the dark hour.
So the research to make this happen artificially. That's what Kirijo has been experimenting with.
That did seem to be the extent of it. At the start.
At the start, the man couldn't prevent himself from shuddering, imagining the implication of her statement. With the second roar, the half-liquefied shadow suddenly took the form of some fell beast. But where the face should have been was nothing but a mask, giving it the bizarre appearance of two creatures stitched together. The young woman, for her part, seemed not in the least perturbed.
Kikuno, my things, please.
The maid stooped to reach something. The man wasn't sure where she had been carrying it, but she placed a sword in her master's hand. The blade was specially shaped and similar in design to a fencing saber.
You're going to fight it?
Stay back. This will all be over soon.
At the moment, as if understanding their conversation, the shadow scared itself leapt towards the young woman. Its speed matched its beastly appearance. In the darkness of the room, the man found it difficult simply keeping his eyes on it. The young woman did not move. Her sword remained lowered in the face of the shadow's advance. Of course, thought the man. An amateur like her could never react in time. However,
Artemisia!
at a word from the young woman, some unseen force slammed the shadow against the wall. The man momentarily doubted his own eyes, for it hadn't been the woman who repelled the monster, but a silhouette that suddenly appeared behind her. It looked as though the being enveloped in sublime light, contrasting the shadow's dark glow, was a woman wearing a majestic dress. The silhouette held up a hand towards the grounded shadow. Once again, the man felt freezing air fill the room, and with that, the shadow stopped moving. Frost crystallized all over it, turning it into an ice sculpture within seconds. Only then did the young woman swing the sword in her hand. A white gleam arced through the air. Upon impact, the frozen enemy shattered, like it had been crystallized sugar rather than ice. The victory was so one-sided that the man hesitated to call it a battle.
Are you all right?
The young woman turned towards the man. The sound of her boots hitting the floor gave him the yarning realization that she hadn't moved a single step during the fray. Seeing that he was at a loss for words, she gave him a gentle smile. It was all too much for the man. He actually felt relieved to be protected by this small woman. One thing was obvious. She had been through countless battles much like the one he just
Your
witnessed.
fallen employee's life is in no danger, but he'll be very weak. Make sure he gets to a hospital. Should I make the arrangements?
No, I should at least handle that. It is a public security matter.
With a nod, the young woman approached the small box and manipulated it in a way he couldn't quite catch. The eerie yellow-green light began to fade. Moments later, the silence and darkness faded too. The world had been restored. The man felt his body become suddenly lighter, causing him to breathe and sigh of relief. He hadn't realized until the pressure was gone that the air had been suffocating, as if he had been underwater. There was a stir of moment in the air in the room. The forensics team and assistants looked at the man and young woman perplexed. The man took a quick look around. Fragments of the shattered door were strewn about. A young public security worker was lying unconsciously nearby. And the Kirijo guest, who had entered without anyone noticing, held in her hand a drawn sword.
I'd be shocked too if I were them.
It occurred to him that if normal people couldn't sense the dark hour, the sudden change in circumstances may have seemed to them like some magic trick.
Excuse me, but this place is off limits to all unauthorized personnel. Hey, what's going on here?
The forensics staff looked at the man
It's
helplessly.
alright. We had a little emergency.
Oh.
That aside, halt all examination of the relics they brought in. We'll wait for further instructions from the Kirijo group.
Huh? But you said...
If there are any boxes that are closed, don't force them open. Not if you don't want to come face to face with monsters.
Leaving the frowning forensics team behind him, the man quickly went into the hallway with the Kirijo
I have to
woman.
thank you for your help. And about the conference. I'll join in as well. It's been arranged so nothing you say would get through to the higher-ups.
If the young woman was surprised at what amounted to a confession of betrayal, she didn't show
Are
it.
you saying you will reconsider your plans?
I can't overlook anything as serious as this. I wouldn't be doing my job as public security if I did. But make no mistake, the things I saw today are proof of the sins the Kirijo group has committed. They can't be punished under the law, but now that they're known, atonement will be made in some shape or form.
Indeed. I never intended anything less.
You really put one over on us this time. Oh, there's no need to be coy. What happened today was no accident, was it? We'd never have believed the reports unless we saw it in person. That's why such a dangerous box had no lid. Am I wrong?
There was no lid. That's not possible. That box was classified as risk level 3. It should have been securely fastened.
The young woman fell silent, then gasped and gave the maid walking silently beside her a look.
Kikuno.
The maid continued without the slightest sign of remorse and left her master behind. Both the man and the young woman sighed at
Us
once.
guys in public security have a reputation for being tough. But it seems like you guys are no slouches yourselves.
The summit that was meant to be perfunctory refusal took an unexpected turn. Promises were made to continue the talks. 6 months passed. After many opportunities to show the actual samples to the dignitaries were set up. The proposed special unit was established in mostly the form Kirijo requested. The security department, the Shadow Response Unit. It was the inauguration of the special unit that would in time be nicknamed the Shadow Operatives. Alright, so we got a little sort of past, origin of the Shadow Ops. I'm not sure how now it's going to be. Indeed, The Shadow Operatives. I'm quite fond of the name. Not that I normally pay much heed to these things, but in this case I admit to being pleased. It started as sarcasm on the part of the higher-ranked personnel from the police. It could be taken to mean those who deal with shadows, but the real meaning is those who operate in the shadows. Not only is the unit unofficial, we have the difficult to credit job of exterminating monsters. Mostly I suspect it was a dig at a group that disturbed the expected peaceful years before the older personnel's retirement. But Shadow Operative could also mean one who does unrewarded, albeit crucial work for society. It's a name truly befitting of this organization's goal. We're approaching the first anniversary of the Shadow Operative establishment, though we're still at the level of basic investigation and laying groundwork. It seems a full-scale case has arisen.
Fighting is not our first option, but I'd be more reassured with you there. We have a general idea of where it was taken, the Inaba area, where there were reports of suspected shadow activity last year.
Good as it is to hear from an old, reliable friend, I limit the call to a quick exchange of
I'll
information.
send you the precise location later. Sorry to call when you've just returned from a trip, but I'm relying on your assistance.
I close my cell and turn towards my colleague.
He's only just returned and he's going directly to the location from the airport. Akihiko never changes.
Yeah, we know that from Akihiko's side. She gave a call. The man I was on the phone with just now was Akihiko Sanada. He's one of our non-permanent staff. Akihiko's an excellent Persona user, but beyond that, he's a skilled boxer. He's a friend of mine from high school who fought the shadows alongside me. I admire his strict determination to never neglect his training, but the extreme lengths he goes to can be rather inconvenient. After entering college, he accepted my invitation to one of the founding shadow operatives. But it was his actions afterward that went above and beyond. Sure, I'll join, but if I'm gonna use my strength professionally, I want to get my skills to get a level I'm happy with first. Thus began his training expedition. He's not only wandering the country, he's traveling the entire world. I can't decide whether to be dumbfounded or impressed by his dedication to training. All of this is to say that he only just returned to Japan to take part in this operation. Give it a wry smile and lean back in my chair. See me relax, the girl watching nearby smiles. This is Aigis, known for her blonde hair and piercing blue eyes. She's a sweet girl on the outside, but she has what it takes to be an important member of our squad.
Will we be able to find Labris? My sister?
Hmm?
When I look over at Aigis, her eyes are cast downward with a worried expression.
Will we be able to save her? Isn't that what you really want to ask?
She must have known once I called Akihiko in as a backup. There's a responsibility that we will have to fight Labris, knowing that it's not a great leap to imagine that in the worst case she may have to be destroyed. And alas, it's true. If all else fails and our safety is at risk, with no other way to stop her, that option is on the table. Still,
Don't worry. As I mentioned to Akihiko, fighting Labris is not our priority. The reason I formed this shadow operative team is to save lives. We will find her, whatever it takes, and bring her back. We can do this.
Yes. I'm sorry to be so pessimistic.
Those feelings you have for Labris, you should tell her when you see her.
I will.
the monitor is showing certain data under multiple redundant encryptions. Kirijo Ergonomics Research Lab, confidential matters. There is in fact a reason I'm reviewing these materials that are normally securely concealed. Because 2 days ago, on May 1st, I was unexpectedly dragged into a serious incident. The passenger plane I was taking to Kagoshima was hijacked. There hasn't been a domestic hijacking for 10 years. The top brass of the police, afraid to make any mistakes, sent in the shadow operatives. The case itself was resolved quickly and all the culprits are arrested. None of the passengers were harmed either. But the hijackers' true motive wasn't terrorism or political demands. As one would expect, I was surprised to find they were really after my cargo. It was a sealed box from the ergonomics research lab. We were transporting it to Yakushima on that flight. No one thought that the risky hijacking could have been in pursuit of just the cargo, and as a result, one of the objects was stolen. The arrested suspects are all in police custody, but none of them have any memory of carrying out the crime. Someone was pulling their strings, and very probably using uncommon methods. Considering that the puppet master was targeting shadow-related cargo, I doubt they'll be easy to deal with. As for what was stolen, I guess mentioned its name a moment ago. The 5th generation anti-shadow suppression weapon, Labris. It's an older model from two generations ago. Since shadow-related ergo research documents were lost in an accident, we know little about Labris. She is an android, most likely a female version just like Aegis. But instead of a weapons loadout, she seemed to have been fitted with some kind of experimental equipment. That's all we know. Still, thanks to our collaborators' quick wit, the escaping vehicle was traced with the end system. It wasn't easy, but we managed to pinpoint its location. It was headed for the city of Inaba, where there may have been shadow activity last year. Once the preparations to depart are complete, I'll head there myself. My mind wanders a bit, though I was unaware of them. The shadow of the sins committed in the Credo name is still so painful 10 years on that I sometimes want to avert my eyes. But now is not the time to be bound by the past. Now is the time to act. I suddenly noticed that Aegis had been staring at me boredly. I give her a smile and stand up decisively. Alright, that's how we go in. So we're getting straight at it. And from her point of view, we're in the limousine. Though it's the central town, the main street seems nearly deserted, and there's virtually no activity to be seen through the car windows. It was confirmed that the vehicle transporting Labris was abandoned here. So our first move would be to confirm the situation. Or so I thought. I attempt to ignore the rude stares of people trying to get a look inside the car, focusing instead on the scent of my tea. People keep crowding around whenever we park. We had to move it a number of times already. We didn't get a moment's peace until the car had reached to the junkyard of the outskirts of town. As I try to keep from sighing, Aigis speaks up from her seat in front of me.
Mitsuru-san, our activities are supposed to be undercover, correct?
Yes.
For undercover missions, it will be necessary to keep all personnel and vehicles from being noticed.
Right.
Mitsuru-san, may I say something that I've been meaning to say for a while now?
Why did you take this limousine to every mission that we go?
No.
Understood.
I think Mitsuru knew what the question was. Heike's poker face is perfectly blank. Though I understand what she's getting at, I've actually wanted to say something along those lines to the people around me for a while. Still, it would be galling to hear it from someone else right now.
All I told them was to give us a car with enough space.
Our contact has arrived.
The man approaching us is someone whose cooperation I specifically requested. His name is Detective Kurosawa. Before I can welcome him, Aike speaks up.
My. This was not our designated meeting area, yet he has discovered us.
You want to know how I did it?
Do you know why I did it? Found it literally across the town. I've seen you trying to park everywhere. It's been a nuisance. What the hell were you thinking? To bring a limousine in such a mission like this? I mean, you gotta be serious. Like, why a limousine? It's like, enough space. You could just take a truck or, you know, something along those lines. Not a limousine. But whatever. Kirijo Group. It's like, this is the only space we have. The limousine. Lady feels that whatever Aegis wants to voice her opinion to me, she intentionally puts on the robo act. They mentioned this at the lab, that if Aegis still speaks in that stiff, formal manner, either she's getting too human and is developing habits, or she's doing it on purpose. Honestly.
We appreciate your cooperation, Detective Kurosawa.
Long time no see, miss. And Aegis, was it?
Indeed. It has been a while.
Detective Kurosawa was an officer at a police box near the school we attended 3 years ago. That was shunned for cooperating with us and got busted back down to officer. But now that the shadow operatives are officially recognized, he's in the good grace again. A man could be trusted beyond the confines of his station to solve a case, even going so far as to bend the rules, is a rare breed. Detective Kurosawa's expression was softened while he makes small talk with Aegis, which makes me realize that this may be the first time he's seen Aegis in combat form.
I shouldn't make you stand while we talk. Please, get in.
Ah, sorry. I haven't seen you in a while, so I had a lot to say.
You must understand that we are trying to go incognito. Though it's kind of him not to point out that our vehicle and attire are completely unsuited to that goal as he enters the limousine. He sits and does not even wait until the door is closed before getting to the point.
I found out quite a bit regarding the case you had me look into. First, I reviewed the report on the incidents from last year. One of the suspects mentioned the word persona.
So what went on here last year?
It's probably related, but I wasn't done there. Parts of this guy's testimony were even more outlandish. If you can take what's in the record at face value, it seems persona users can enter TVs within the Inaba region.
I'm pretty sure he's talking about the case where Adachi, I guess, most likely confessed, and then that's why he was telling a lot of stuff, and apart from them, obviously, the other people arrested. But mainly, I think this has to be Adachi's confession.
Enter TVs? What does that mean?
Just what it sounds like. You physically stick your body into the screen and go inside. He claimed there was another world in the TV, and dropping people inside it was the method behind last year's murders.
This all sounds rather absurd. I'm surprised it was included in the police report.
I got in touch with the detective in charge at the time and said the same thing. Apparently the report was filed by a young partner of his at the time. He'd entertained the wildest testimonies like this one.
He sounds like quite the oddball.
Adachi, pretty much.
This was what really went on. The police would have had no chance cracking it. But that Detective Dojima is one shrewd guy. Even with all the supernatural hocus pocus surrounding the case, he caught the culprit.
Yep. That's our Dojima. I had to ask. Oh my god. I had to ask. I don't know why I changed my voice. I think yeah. I know you like me, but come on. I had asked him to collect information about the serial murders that occurred in Inamas last year. The shadow operatives are public knowledge, so I thought the local police would be more willing to speak with him, but the results surpassed my expectations. Though it's slightly frustrating to already run up against something I'm powerless to achieve myself.
That's all I have for you right now. I should be going. I doubt either of us has time to reminisce over the old days. It's funny though. I thought the fighting was over, but you guys surprise me every time I see you.
Thank you very much, Officer Kurosawa. Why don't we at least see you off?
Oh, that's all right. I've got my own car. I doubt my department would appreciate your tastes. If I ever showed up for work in something like this, I'd be the talk of the force until the day I retired.
Detective Kurosawa jokes with us before exiting the limousine, waving casually back at us. I had nothing to say to that as I watched him leave, rotating his shoulder to work out some kicks. I guess, though, felt the need to comment.
Mitsuru-san, this could be bad. Our sense of social aptitude is in question.
Can't deny that.
What should we do now?
I can hear Johnny on Bosch here.
Yes.
I think. Yeah.
First, we'll need to test the claim that persona users can enter TVs.
We are at the junkyard after all, and I can see a number of consumers' electronics that have been discarded illegally. Agnes looks around and points at a certain pile as she gets out of the
There is
car.
a discarded TV over there. If the environment does not matter, we can use it to test the phenomenon.
Wait, I guess.
Don't worry. I'm just going to touch it.
That's not what I was worried about. Ikis isn't wearing anything like a disguise and... No, I'm overthinking this. We already attract enough attention. Even if we leave now, without doing anything, our pictures could still end up on the internet. Let them gossip about the strange people in funny clothes. I'll become some urban legend. My mind made up, and I stepped outside wearing my special equipment. Once Aika sees that I follow her, she gives a small nod and stretches her hand out towards the screen.
Amazing.
Her hand is inside the TV screen, but the screen itself seems undamaged. And Aiga's hand is swallowed up to her wrist, as if she put it into a bucket of water.
Interesting. It's exactly as the police report said. What's it like inside? Do you feel anything?
Not particularly. No. Wait a moment. It's the same as mine. It's hard to say definitively since this is my first encounter with it, but I believe this reading is from a personality module.
Does that mean our retrieval target is inside the TV?
Huh. Sounds like fun.
That voice from above. It sounds very familiar. That voice from above, it sounds... oh, yeah. Wait, what? What I see in the direction from where it came is a man in an outlandish red cape. I hesitate for a moment. Could it be?
Is that Akihiko?
The man leaps from the skated tower of TVs like an
didn't show
acrobat.
up at the rendezvous point, so I went looking and found you here. This whole TV thing is pretty interesting.
In spite of myself, I buried my face in my palm.
Akihiko, what on earth are you wearing? Just what were you doing overseas?
Didn't I tell you that I was on a training expedition?
Don't tell me you came here from the airport like that. Does the concept of keeping a low profile mean nothing to you?
Mitsuru-san, I believe we have lost the right to complain about that.
That's it. I'm never mentioning the subject of our appearance again.
Anyway, we can go inside from that TV, right? What are we waiting for?
Still the same Akihiko. We don't know the situation inside yet, and we'll need a secure means of getting out.
So what? If we want to get this Labrys back, someone has to go inside, right?
Well, that's...
Our target hijacked a plane to throw her into a TV in this town. If we sit on our hands, it's possible we'll be put in serious danger.
Akiko's right. That's exactly why I've been trying to act as quickly as possible since this case
We're
began.
different from how we used to be. We made the choice to fight shadows as professionals. That's why I traveled around the world and trained harder than ever. And now that something's actually come up, you're hesitating? We agreed to do this. I'm ready to stake my life on the mission.
Recklessly unafraid to state his honest opinion, classic Akihiko. He must understand that is his role. Certainly there are times when I need such opinions, and it's been a while since he went abroad. I think I can understand his current mindset.
All right. Wait right here. I need to go make a phone call first.
Okay, but make it quick.
He doesn't have to tell me twice. I take out my phone and bring up the contact list. A well inside the TV. I don't know what it might be like in there, but I don't know someone that could help us. I was originally going to ask for their help after Labrys was secure, but perhaps the time has come. That would be Fuka. That might be Fuka. Now, I've taken all possible precautions. The rest is a test of our resolve. And we can definitely assure you that we already seen this part, so would you look at that? We're ready to take on. Alright.
Where am I? Is this inside the TV?
I remember being enveloped in a white light, but what came afterwards is unclear. Is this the world inside the TV? Oddly enough, the sight before me seems to be the main gate of a school. The name engraved on the entrance plate is...
Yasagami High School. I do recall that name from our map of Inaba. An existing high school has been completely recreated inside the TV?
I then came to a realization. I've encountered something much like this before. It doesn't appear to be much different from reality as far as appearance, but it has that same distinctive sticky atmosphere. The Labyrinth's Tartarus, our battleground 3 years ago. It bears a lot of similarity to this
Wait.
place.
Where are the others? Akihiko! I guess.
Being separated won't do anything to further our mission. Perhaps I can use my communication power to get in touch with them.
I can't reach them through my persona either. This place is highly unusual.
It's still barely functioning, but the noise here is severe. I need to understand the world a little better and find a quiet place to concentrate. So I check my surroundings again for enemies. I hear the sound of footsteps. I tense, getting myself ready, but when I turn around, a uniformed girl stops, looking at me in bewilderment. I didn't expect to meet someone else here, let alone a seemingly ordinary schoolgirl. Could her age and outfit believe a connection to the theft of Labras? But once the girl's surprise faded, she still seemed confused by my appearance. It seems that even here in another dimension, people are startled by my attire. At least her reaction allayed my suspicions. People reveal something of themselves when they're caught off guard. Anyone in the act of committing a crime couldn't fake being perplexed so naturally.
Did I surprise you? I suppose my outfit is somewhat unusual.
Oh, no.
I don't find it unusual, Mitsuru. I don't know what you're talking about. I think you're fine.
Why are you here?
Well, I...
A loud cheer suddenly swells, cutting off our communication. Judging by the sound, I guess there is a crowd present here. I look around the area in confusion.
Where is that coming from?
Students appear one after another, clearly intrigued to see us here.
What's going on?
Before I can react, an image appears on the monitor buried beneath the bizarre decorations.
Hello! Hello! This is General Teddy, your benevolent dictator!
I think at this point they're not showing us that, the P1 Grand Prix thing, or I hope they don't.
And I, Rosette, am your commentator. It's time for the next round in the P1 Grand Prix. Are you ready to fight?
P1 Grand Prix. Fight.
Suddenly, the one in the ridiculous costumes queue, smoke pours out around us. Spotlight shines from somewhere directly upon me. I instinctively raise my arm to shield my eyes from the harsh light. It feels like I'm being displayed for an audience.
And who do we have for Yuki-chan's opponent this time? Ooh! It's a mysterious, beautiful lady! How unexpected!
Teddy? What's wrong?
Do you know that bear?
The monitor showing the costume General Teddy suddenly fuzzes over the static. The static gets worse and worse, until an eerie expressionless bear costume, one that looks as though it forgot how to make facial expressions, appears off screen. The voice is the same as before, but his tone is harsh mechanical now.
Case 04. Unintended intruder. Entering elimination process.
What is that supposed to mean? Ugh. What's going on?
As soon as the abnormality registers, I feel bizarre noise like something scratching against my whole body. Was that some kind of attack? It didn't seem to have any effect on me, but the girl standing beside me underwent quite a change.
Who do you think you are, showing up alone like this? It's no use trying to talk your way out of it. There's nothing to discuss. You don't even try to understand anyone anyway. If you want to wall yourself off from everyone, I'll be happy to end your lonely life here.
The girl's face distorts with hatred as she spits her words at me. It's a far cry from her earlier demeanor. It's as if she's a completely different person. And that's not all. Understandably, she seemed not to know me before, but now she speaks as if she does. What is this? Could it be the effect of the noise I sense?
Smug for long. Come, Konohana Sakuya.
A persona?
The girl spreads the fan in her hand, and with a flash of light, a persona manifests. Her clarity of me. I should have accounted for this possibility as soon as I saw her here in this
We
world.
won't be settling this peacefully, I see. In which case,
I ready my evoker and concentrate.
to me, Artemisia.
Power rises from within me, and the sensation of in my limbs tells me that my persona has emerged. But my hand holding the evoker is still at my side. My persona, did it just appear without the use of my evoker to trigger it? Did I summon it with only by thinking? Theoretically, it doesn't need an evoker to summon one's persona. Didn't have one the day my persona first manifested. I have done without one several other times as well. But never before have summoned it so easily and without any special concentration. It's as if my consciousness is reaching far beyond the boundaries of my body. By way of analogy, it feels like being able to control the wind with my fingertips. Could it be because this world is special? The girl's voice brings me back to the situation at hand. Which reminds me, the girl doesn't seem to use any special implements to summon either.
Persona user. Fine. I still won't lose.
Sorry, but I won't be defeated either.
Alright, let's fight with fire and ice. Bring it on. I'm ready. So, Mitsuru's a bit straightforward.
Final.
You're slow.
Alright. God damn it. Damn it. I need to know. I need to know how to play her. Just give me a sec. This one I would for sure. Just give me a chance.
Final.
Damn it. Damn it. Still trying to learn with Mitsuru. She doesn't have a lot. Let me show you, okay? Let me show you. Like, I really like Mitsuru, so that's why I want to, like, you know, play her. I've been excited for this moment, but I still need practice. This is what she has. And the grand majority, I have to charge, and I don't have time for that. So, as you can see. Can you please leave me alone? Damn it. That would have been cool. If I just, hit her and it blocked it, so that kind of stuff. And part that I just have drift there on my controller, so that's why if you see my character jumping, it's because of my controller. I might be here for a while, so just do give me a second. It's just to get used to.
Finally.
It looked like the vehicle just amped up for me. Oh, that was cool, actually. Oh, okay. I have to learn how to do that. I mean, look at her. God damn. Sorry. I simped for Mitsu in Persona 3, and I still simp her now. I mean, look at her. What the? They did her gorgeous. They did her gorgeous. Once the battle ends, the monitor nearby switches on. I hope that when Persona 3 comes out, Persona 3 Reload comes out, if they have a DLC costume for Persona 4 Arena's outfit, please. Like, please. I need it. Demand it. We need to start demanding for that shit. We must. Stay focused. We must stay focused, brothers.
An irregularity has occurred. Multiple intruders detected. Emergency. Intruders are Persona users. Due to difficulties in elimination, they will be acknowledged as valid targets.
He's obviously refers to myself and the others. Does he mean that he's going to adjust his tactics for dealing with us? Due to how much of a threat we are? The way he said that seems like a bad omen.
Targets.
I understand that we're considered to be intruders, but what did he meant by that? It seems we're part of a tournament now, but what was the enemy's original plan? The monitor screen fuzzes again. Once more, it shows the costumed person as he originally appeared.
Jeez, you need to let me know if you want to get in on the fun. But this is a unique situation, and you're one hot mama, so I'll make an exception. Just keep putting on a good show in your next bout, too.
Who are you? Why don't you take off that strange costume and show your face?
Hey now, I don't think a lady walking around in a cat suit like yours can talk to me about my bear suit. Enough with the questions. Move on.
Again? Yet another person hung up on my outfit? It's like me to let the enemy's words get under my skin. The monitor switches off with those cheeky words.
Is that costume thing the one who stole Labrys? If so, then what's the purpose of this bizarre tournament? Fine. I'll get a read on your location.
I correctly link my communicator and persona. Some personas are more suited to operational support than direct combat. In my case, though, that power is secondary. We normally have a persona user who specializes in that role, but with some specialized equipment, I can get by. I'll focus my conscience and send it drifting throughout the surrounding area. The enemy must think he's keeping an eye on us, but he'll learn soon enough that he's not the only one with a bird's eye view of the situation. Before the layout of this place becomes clear, an unexpected change occurs around me. The moment I use my power, noise runs through the students that have been spectating. And in an instant, they turn into something like silhouettes that barely have human shapes. It seems their true colors have been exposed. Are they not human?
What? Were they shadows? If they were, I don't sense any hostility from them. Were they just set dressing that thing in the costume prepared?
Alright. Give me a second, guys. Sorry about that. A touring crowd would let one to believe that there is a large number of people inside the TV, but that doesn't seem to be the case, which leads in a mystery. It may be best to consider it
In
a
any
blessing.
case, it appears that apart from this girl here, none of those students were real.
The girl who had collapsed on the floor is coming around. I release my persona and rush over to help her up. I wasn't fighting to my fullest, so she shouldn't be suffering from any real wounds. There are many mysteries surrounding this girl. She seems to be more than just an associate of one in the bear costume. The moment the girl sees me, she jumps back like a startled animal. Her speech is flustered, her face bright, blushing red. There are tears in her eyes.
How come you knew about that?
About what?
That was private. I never even told anyone at the inn about that. I can't believe someone I've never even met before knew.
The girl covers her reddened face in shame. I try and think back what I said to her. Did I point out anything that would cause such a reaction? One detail jumps out at me. When the girl's manners of speech shifted before our battle, it wasn't just her personality that abruptly changed. Though we had just met, she talked as if she knew more than she should about my past.
Reminds me. That noise I sensed earlier is gone.
Yet the girl before me now no longer bears any of the senseless animosity from before.
Seems to have been some kind of interference from the enemy. Come to think of it, that bear was egging us on. The interference must have been to ensure two total strangers would fight. General Teddy, was it? He looked comical enough, but he certainly put an elaborate scheme in motion.
No! How could Teddy...
She seems to have finally calmed down and continues muttering with a perplexed expression.
You know the one in costume, I take it?
Oh, I know him very well. He's usually not like this at all.
I take this girl's hand and again help her to
I'm
her feet.
Mitsuru Kirijo. I've come here in search of a unique object. Why don't we start over? If you don't mind, I'd like to hear a little about yourself.
Yes. Oh, my name's Yukiko Amagi. I'm sorry for losing my composure just now.
So, Amagi, why did you come to this world?
Where to start? So many strange things happened over the last year.
At first glance, she looks like an honorary student, so why is she here inside the TV? Amagi briefly summarized her recent past to me in an even tone of voice. According to her, this world was prominent in a serial murder case last year. She and her friends awakened to their personas while investigating the case, and eventually solved it. This world is formed by people's thoughts, and at the case's conclusion, it returned to its original state. None of this contradicts what I learned from Detective Kurosawa.
A realm inside a TV, formed by people's thoughts. It sounds absurd, but that would explain the incongruity I sensed when I used my persona.
We thought the case had been solved, but lately there's been another strange program on the air. My friends and I couldn't ignore that, so we came back here.
Your friends? Are there others here besides yourself?
Yes, I was with 3 other people, but we got separated when we entered. The one in costume and the girl who called herself Rosette are friends of ours too. But they're acting so strangely.
So this is not the way they generally behave then?
I can tell from Amagi's reaction that normally she trusts those two implicitly. Considering what the enemy did to her earlier, could they be under its control as well? Either way, it sheds no light on the theft of Labrys. How are they related? Or is this incident only a coincidence?
There's one more thing I'm curious about. Have you ever heard the name Labrys?
Labrys? No, I don't think I've ever heard of that before. What is it?
It's the thing I'm searching for. What makes it problematic is that I know nothing of its appearance. Honestly, I'm not sure it has anything to do with this disturbance, though I can't write it off completely as irrelevant.
Though it appears that there is no connection, whoever went so far as to hijack a plane to steal Labras brought her all the way here. No matter how I look at it, that means something.
Anyway, thank you for your cooperation. I understand the situation better now. We should stay together going forward.
Whoa! Think again, ladies!
General Teddy suddenly appears on the screen to interrupt our conversation.
The winner of each bout can go on. That's rule number 1 in the Grand Prix.
How exactly can that rule be enforced? As if to answer my unspoken question, Amagi makes an odd gesture.
There's nothing here, but I can feel something. A wall, maybe? Wait, but Mitsuru-san could...
Amagi looks at me expectantly. I take a tentative step and walk through the place where she claims there is a wall.
Like I said, you're stuck there until the tournament's over. Only winners get to go. Come on, miss. You won. So it's time to barrel forward to the next stage.
I must leave the girl alone in this strange world then. Though I'm uneasy about doing so. Amagi seems to read my thoughts and smiles.
But I'll be alright. I fought shadows for an entire year too. I can protect myself.
I see. In that case, I'll press on and do my best to rescue your friends.
If you see them, please tell them I'm alright and they shouldn't worry about me. You be careful too, Mitsuru-san.
Amagi smiles resolutely. She is a very strong girl.
I'll pass that along.
I nod, acknowledging her wishes, and turn my back to walk away.
Not only do they tamper with our minds, they prevent us from leaving until the tournament is settled. It may not necessarily ruin friendships, but there's no way forward than to fight one another. What a loathsome trick. It seems the mastermind is intent on us fighting each other.
I grit my teeth in anger. Amagi's killer's eyes remain in my heart. This operation is no longer just to retrieve Labras. I make a silent vow as I go. Everyone who has been dragged into this must be rescued. Let's show them what we got, Mitsuru.
Another dead end.
As I step into the school, I realize that these invisible walls are everywhere, blocking off routes that seem open to the naked eye. Why is the thief who stole Labras gathering Persona users in this world? Not having a clear idea of their motivations is compounding my anxiety. And I guess Akihiko may have been dragged into this Grand Prix as well. If so, we need to compare notes. If all goes well, we may figure out the location of the mastermind behind this that I failed to grasp earlier. After quickly confirming that there are no shadows nearby, I link my communicator with my persona. I focus my conscience and send it drifting throughout the surrounding area.
So lonely.
What was that?
The presence is faint. I can't tell where it is, yet I can definitely hear a voice. It seems I could sense it because of my secondary support capabilities, but when I focus harder, it doesn't seem that they're trying to communicate with me. It's more like the words and the intense emotions behind them are seeping out of the room itself, perhaps even from all around me. Eventually, the voice becomes clearer.
I'm scared. And alone. It hurts. Why? Why won't anyone listen?
I don't recognize the voice. Perhaps one of Amagi's friends.
I didn't ask to be born a machine. How come no one understands? What's the difference between normal people's hearts and mine?
A machine? Is that Labras?
I stand up and try calling to her,
Are you nearby? Answer me.
but there's no answer. It seems that it's not because the voice owner is nearby that I can hear. It is subtly different from hearing voices with one's own ear. It's true. I focus my sense once again, but I still can't tell exactly where it's coming from. Not yet having a thought command of the layout here makes it harder to pinpoint. Eventually, the voice fades. Only silence
Going by
remains.
what she said, that had to have been Labras. Sounds as if her heart has developed further than we thought.
Even Aegis, the latest model, required a lot of time and experience to develop the heart she has. So then why does Lapras, who's been sealed from her development up to now, have such an advanced heart?
I didn't ask to be born a machine. It pains me to hear that.
The anti-shadow suppression weapons. Both Aegis and Lapras were created as insurance for dangerous shadow experimentations in case the subject should go berserk. The only thing that can stand up against a shadow is a persona, and being able to control one is an absolute necessity when dealing with shadows. Thus, they were given hearts in order to induce their ability to use personas. But a weapon that has a heart contradicts itself. It was natural for Aegis to face that contradiction, and it caused her serious anguish in the past.
We can't allow victims like her to be tormented by sins of the past, whether they're human or not.
Newly resolved, I pressed on. We going to the gym? I continued through the school, still unable to contact Aegis nor Akihiko. We go to the gym. The invisible wall seems to be leading up towards the gym. Compared to the one back at Gekagon High, this one is rather modest, but the chairs stacked to unusual heights and the monitors everywhere give it an eerie air. And the monitor is switched on again. But this time, it's not showing General Teddy. How strange. This appears to be a commercial for a fighting event. Are we gonna still watch that? A succession of young men and women are introduced as participants. One of them I recognize as Amagi.
They're wearing the same uniforms as Amagi. I assume these are the friends she spoke of.
All of them are introduced with horrible epithets. But the Amagi I met in person was completely different, sophisticated girl. I suppose the enemy made up all the taglines. Just Amagi's introductions, and the video suddenly turns off and General Teddy's face appears on the screen.
I had to completely rejigger the bracket to accommodate 3 new contestants. Sheesh.
3 new contestants. Myself, Akihiko, and Aegis?
On the other paw, a tournament's more exciting with more people in it. But getting back on track, allow me to introduce your next opponent.
When I enter, someone who had already been there turns around. His face. He was on the video a moment ago.
There's people besides us here?
You're...
Holy crap, she's smoking hot. The thing she's wearing doesn't hurt either.
You were in that video just now. What was it they called you? Captain Ressentiment?
How come you remember that stupid title and not my real name? Figures I need a knockout like this, and she already knows about that. God, I wish I was dead!
Apparently the epithets from the video hit a sore point with the people featured. Nickname left more of an impression than its real name, so it just slipped up. And the moment General Teddy appears again on one of the larger monitors inside the gym.
How do you like your opponent?
Why are you making us fight? What benefit do you derive from this nonsense?
So many questions. I just want you all to suffer. Isn't that exciting?
That's what this is about? No. If Lapras is involved, there's more to it, isn't there?
Enough jibba jabba. Hurry and start the fight. Look at your opponent. He's ready, see?
As Zero smirks, a wave of discomfort washes over me. It's the same as the time with Amagi. As I glare at the monitor, thinking that more interference is at work here, I hear unexpectedly bitter words.
Yeah, Teddy's right. I mean, you're the one who barged in here. Man, who'd come to such a dangerous place without hesitating? You really are an ice queen. I bet you don't have many friends, huh?
It's happening again. The moment that noise kicks in, not only does my opponent's personality change, they begin speaking of things they shouldn't know about. It's exactly like what happened with
You talk
Amagi.
as if you know me.
Stop acting so calm and changing the subject. You seem like you don't know much about this world. So how do you plan to get out? Don't tell me you rushed in here with no escape plan. Oh man, seriously? You're nuts. People like you who obsess over responsibility and put all the burden on yourselves, you annoy the hell out of me.
It doesn't matter how others perceive me.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Isn't that because you don't trust anyone?
I can't have a normal conversation with the enemy's interference. But even knowing that, I catch myself trying to argue the point. The heavy responsibility I suffer is mine alone. If I share it with someone, that means that suffering will also be shared. That is why I try to be self-sufficient. The more I care about someone, the less I'm willing to rely on them. But isn't that no better than not believing in them? I've been caught in that trap before. Maybe I still haven't truly escaped it. But how could he guess at my private distress? One that I barely confided to others before.
Supposedly an unexpected intruder. What's going on?
What are you mumbling about? Well, let me ease your mind. I'll end everything for you. Let's do this, Jiraiya!
Go, Yosuke-senpai! Beat up that shady lady! Let the fight begin!
I can see there'll be no talking sense with him like this. There's nothing for it then. Artemisia!
Alright. Yosuke, my man, you're going down. I think I got an idea how to start here. If Yosuke is not that annoying this one, we can definitely see some changes here.
Final.
Damn it. God damn it. Seriously, Yosuke? The thing is with Mitsuru, she has a lot of charge attacks, which I don't know where's the limit to use like certain attacks.
Final.
You're slow!
Just getting started. See this?
No! Go! I'm coming for you!
Damn it.
Don't think you've won yet. It's showtime!
Oh, he's using.
Alright, let's do this! Just getting started.
There we go.
How unfortunate. Better luck next time.
And there we have it. Wow, I need obviously by continuously playing, I think I get more used to playing with Mitsuru. The thing is, that because she has those literally three of their special, I'm not sure how you call them, but it's basically like those special combos that 3 of them are just charge, and I don't think I have the sufficient amount of time to use that, and I wish Mitsuru wasn't like that. Kanji has 1 move as a charge attack, but that's just it. Mitsuru has 3, and that's like literally the grand majority of her like normal abilities, you know, to combo with. Unless you have time to use it like meanwhile in the air, but really, it's kind of difficult to use. But yeah, let's continue.